Okay, so what we did so far was we created a new drawing using metric. We started the line command, L is the shortcut key, space bar. So, how many are right-handed? Okay, so you use your left hand to type the shortcut keys. If you're left-handed, of course, you use the right hand. Left hand, in my case, L, and then space bar. It's a lot easier to press the space bar to enter the command. So instead of the enter button, use your thumb and press the space bar. Okay, that starts the line command. Of course, you can use this, like I've said earlier, but it's longer. You have to bring your mouse up and then click and then bring it down again. It's best to type L and then you can start making your lines. To go back to the first point, right? You type C to close. C to close, okay? So if you want to zoom in and out, simply roll the middle mouse button. If you press the middle mouse button, you're able to pan without zooming in and out. You're able to pan without zooming in and out. Okay? So zoom in and out using the middle mouse roll button. Press the middle mouse, the rolling pin, and then you can pan around. Okay? Now, you can also draw circles. So C is the shortcut key for circles. So circle, press the center, and then you create a circle. Hit the space bar again. That will repeat the last command. Since the last command is circle, I can draw more circles, okay? So these are draw commands. Circle, L, lines, okay? Circles and lines. Space bar to end the command, space bar to restart the last command, okay? So draw, space bar, C to close, okay? Pan, okay? Just get used to the interface. Pan around, zoom in and out, and if you need to zoom to the extent of your drawing, kindly listen. You type Z, space bar. Z is the shortcut key for zoom. And then E, enter. Zoom extent. Z, space bar, E, space bar. That allows you to see the entire drawing. It will zoom to the extent of your monitor. Okay? If you like to change colors, you can select here a color and then you have a new color. Okay? So you can select a color here and start the line command. You get a different color. Nice. That looks like a nice painting, abstract painting, right? Okay. Now, if you want to draw a rectangle, you type REC, rectang, and then you can create a rectangle. Enter to repeat the command, enter to simply repeat the command. So creating rectangle, two corners make a rectangle. If you want to create a polygon of certain number of sides, okay, you type polygon and then the number of sides. So let's say 5 sides. Inscribe or circumscribe, and you can create a pentagon. Okay, so polygon, POL, and then you select polygon, and then the number of sides. So let's say 8 sides. Inscribe or circumscribe. Inscribe means the circle or the radius is inside. Circumscribe, the circle is outside. Okay, so here it's inscribe, okay, or circumscribe. Okay, so number of sides, 9 sides, so it's easy to make a polygon of whatever side. So if you want to make a floor plan of a particular number of sides, polygon, type POL, polygon. If you want a rectangle, type REC, rectangle. And you can find the draw commands right here. Line, polyline, circle, polygon, okay, ellipse. You can make an ellipse right here. Okay. And then you can also hatch. Those are drawing tools. So far I'm showing you drawing tools. The shortcut keys normally are the first letter or letters. Rectangle, REC, circle, C, okay? And you get a drop-down list. How many doesn't have a drop-down list? Once you type C, you see the drop-down list, right? So you don't have to really remember a lot. You just have to remember circle starts with C, and you get the drop-down list. How many are not getting the drop-down list? None? Okay. If you don't have the drop-down list, you might not have dynamic input on. Dynamic input. So to turn that on, look for the symbol dynamic input. If you're not able to find it, there's a customization button at the lower right corner. Lower right corner, you'll see here customization. Lower right corner. You'll see there customization. Kindly click that, and you should be able to see dynamic input. Right there, dynamic input. Customization at the bottom right corner, dynamic input. That should be checked. Okay, in most cases they are, or it's checked. Once checked, you can then see dynamic input in the taskbar. Down below in the taskbar, and then make sure you highlight it or click it. And if it is already highlighted, once you type C, you'll see the dynamic input, which is this box right here, turned on. And you'll see the menu. Okay? That's dynamic input. Okay. Now, when you want to draw accurately, so this is just sketching, doodling, right? But if you want to draw accurately, let's close this. Let's not save it. Let's start drawing accurately, because that's what this software is for. So again, close all. You can save or not save, it's up to you, but close. And let's start a new drawing. metric. Still metric. Okay. Create a new drawing, metric. This time, we're going to make the cup. So kindly open Slate and download cup. So how are we going to do this? What commands should we use? So when drawing this cup, what command should we use? Number one, you analyze the drawing. This drawing shows you the length, the radius, the height. So those are important elements and dimensions. Yeah? Yeah, so go to the content page and then week 1, introduction. And then go to exercise 1. Go to exercise 1, AutoCAD drawing practice. Okay? Got it? Okay. Okay, so here it says that the bottom of the cap is 650 units long, right? So to do accurate drawings, you type L because we're going to create a line, and then AutoCAD is communicating with us. What is AutoCAD saying? What is AutoCAD asking? So I gave the command, right? It's like an AI. AutoCAD, give me a line. What did AutoCAD say? Yeah? Not how long. Yeah, where do you want the line? Right? See, to be effective and know what AutoCAD is doing, you need to communicate with AutoCAD. So it's asking me where is my first point. So I'll just going to place my first point anywhere, somewhere here. Okay? And then I need this to be on polar tracking. How many see? Yep. Yes, and then space bar. Yep, L space bar. Okay? L. Yeah, so dynamic input is now off. Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, now it's okay. So number 2, make sure polar tracking, the circle with an acute angle, is turned on. Okay? Polar tracking. Polar tracking. Make sure this is turned on. This button right here. Okay? Make sure that's turned on. And you have 45, 90, 135 increments selected. Okay? So that when you create the line, it snaps to the horizontal 45-degree and vertical angles. Okay? So make sure you have polar tracking on. See how it snaps to the 0 degrees, right? So make sure you have that so that you draw vertical, horizontal, 45-degree lines accurately. Okay? Polar tracking. I'm recording this so you can also check it out again in my video. Yes? Down at the taskbar, polar tracking. Select 45. Yes. Yeah, perfect. Now, when you bring your cursor across, it's asking you for the length. Now it's asking for the length. What's the length? The length is 650. All you need to do is to type 650 spacebar. That's it. That's you just drew an accurate line that's 650 across. The only thing is you cannot see the other end of that line because it's way beyond your monitor. So, hit escape to cancel the command. And then, remember, zoom, Z, spacebar, E, spacebar. That zooms to the extent. And then you can roll your mouse so you can see the entire 650. Okay? So that's how you see the entire 650. Good so far? Yes. Undo, Control Z. Yes?
The Z and E does not work for me.
The Z and the E. Because you are still in a command. So you have to cancel and then Z, enter, E, enter. There it is. See? Yeah. If you are within a command, AutoCAD cannot execute another command. You need to exit that command by typing escape or the space bar or enter keys. Okay? So remember, if you're in a command, AutoCAD will be startled. Say, oh, you want me to zoom out, but I'm still making a line. Right? So if you understand that, it's easy for you to know what AutoCAD is doing. Just look at the prompt. See, AutoCAD was still asking you for the next line. He cannot execute a zoom. Okay, everybody is here. Now we're going to continue. We want a little space, so we're going to zoom out a little bit, pan this down, so we have space for the cup. So zoom down a little bit to provide room for the cup. Next, we have a dimension here, 1200. Right? 1200. So we're going to start the line command again, L space bar. Now, you should see that rectangle right here. Okay? When it's asking for specify first point, and I hover over this line, I want it to go to the end point of the line. That's what we call object snap. How many are seeing that? How many are not seeing that? The green square. You're not seeing that? Okay. If you are not seeing that, you need to turn on object snap. There's a square with a little square. A square and a little square. Turn that on. Okay? And now, when you hover over a line, even if you are not at the end of the line, it will go to that end of the line. Drawing accurately. Okay? You click and it should go to the end of the line. Yes? Okay? And then we go up straight. So this is straight by 1200. See that dimension tick mark? 1200. That's the height of the cup. Okay? So what do we need to do? Make sure the green highlight is on. It's 90 degrees. We're drawing it accurately and we're going to type 1200. 1200 from that start point, 1200 up. Space bar, that's 1200. Okay? And then we go 180 degrees to the left with a distance of what? 800. Okay? So we go here and we say 800. So you're just telling AutoCAD the direction of the line and then you type in the value 800. It's 180 degrees. So straight horizontal line. Space bar. Okay? And then you simply connect to the endpoint at the beginning. So all you need to do is connect this to the endpoint. Because you have object snap on, then it will go to the very end of that line. Perfect. Okay? Space bar or enter to finish. Now, did I go to the endpoint? Somehow not. Okay. So make sure you zoom in. You are at the endpoint. So that's the body of the cup. That's the body of the cup. Nice. Okay, now we're going to do the handle of the cup. So you simply investigate. When you're drawing, you investigate. It says here the handle, the center of the radius of the arc is at 600. If it's at 600 from the top, how much is the distance from the bottom? Also 600. That means this is at the midpoint of the line, right? If that's at the midpoint of the line, then all I need to do is, instead of drawing an arc, draw a circle. See, go to the midpoint. See, AutoCAD knows the midpoint because of our object snap. It will snap to the center. No midpoints? Yeah, if there's no midpoint, go to the object snap. Make sure midpoint is selected. I have here endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection. Those are the ones I use often. Those are the ones I have turned on. So object snap should be on and make sure endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection, they're all checked. Okay? So that if you type C, start the circle command, and go to the midpoint, it will show you the midpoint. Okay? Now, click that. That's the center. To draw a circle accurately, you need to know the radius. The radius is 500. Okay? So 500. Perfect. And then there's another circle with a radius of 400. Okay? And then you have this nice command TR. TR is the shortcut key for trim. Trim is a friend of mine, right? We know each other by first name. He calls me Ram, I call him TR. Okay? And trim will be your friend as well. Okay? So trim, space bar, and then click and drag this. Click and drag to trim, click and drag to trim, click and drag to trim. It creates a line. Wherever that line passes, it trims. Very powerful. Powerful, right? There you go. Okay, let's clap our hands. We just drew our first accurate cup. I said clap. Cup. Okay, and we're going to be moving to the next, which is the ghost, the sad ghost. Okay, so kindly open again your exercise, and this time download the ghost PDF. Let's do the ghost. It's a little bit trickier. Okay? The ghost. Does it look complicated? Yes? No? No. Yeah, not too complicated. So, how are we going to draw this line, this figure? So, normally, when you start drawing, you start with an approach. So, what will be your approach? Okay? What commands will you use? Those are the things that you want to understand. Okay? So here, I have a line up by 1,000. Okay? Up by 1,000 and 1,000. So I can make a square or a rectangle here. So let's do that. Rectang, REC, is the shortcut key for rectangle. And I want it aligned here. So I'm going to hover over the bottom left corner or right corner of the cup. I want it aligned to that. So I'm going to hover over that and then slowly move my mouse to the right. See how it maintains the alignment? Yes? Yep, nice. And then I'm going to click. That's my first line. And then I'm going to type 1,000 is the X value of my rectangle. Tab. So that's locked in 1,000 X by 1,000 Y. There you go. That's a 1,000 by 1,000 rectangle. Let me do that again. Okay. Kindly look. Rec for rectangle, space bar. Hover over the corner. Move it to the right. So it aligns to that level. And then click. Move it to the right. Type 1,000. Tab 1,000. Enter. Tab or spacebar. Yes? How do you? Yeah, to delete the square, just highlight and delete. Yep. Or erase and select enter. But you can also highlight and delete. Nice. So we have just created the body of the ghost. Now we're going to create the circle, the head. To draw the head, I can draw circle from midpoint to the corner. There you go. Circle from the midpoint to the corner. And then my friend Trim will trim that out. Nice. trim, trim that out. Okay? So TR, TR, click and drag to trim. Yep. How did I get the midpoint? Object snap should be turned on. So object snap is the box with a small box at the corner. It has to be turned on. Object snap or press function key number 3. Function key number 3, F3, to turn it on or off. Okay? Circle from midpoint to the edge. Okay? Circle from midpoint to the edge. TR for trim, trim to clean it up. Nice. Now, I might not want to trim it immediately because I might need the midpoint later. Right? I might need that. So, undo. Control Z. Control Z. Let us undo. Okay? I might need that line. I might trim this bottom part. Okay? Because I need that line later. Now, I need that line for the eyes. Okay? The eyes is 250 away. 250 away. Right? Yes. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to offset. So, there's a new command, offset. I'm going to make an offset or a parallel projection. Offset or a parallel projection. The offset distance is 250. Yeah. Control Z. And then 1000. Yeah. Rectangle to go from the X value to the Y, you hit the tab key. If you want to go back to the X, you hit the tab key again. So you can cycle from X to Y, Y to X. Okay, offset is a parallel projection. The distance is 250. Okay? And then I select this and make a parallel projection inward. 250. Right? Now I'm just going to make a line from here up. The intersection of that line is the center of the eye. Right? Okay. The center of the eye, the diameter, the center is there. The diameter is 200. The radius is 100. Okay. So, circle, intersection. The intersection is right there. And then type 100 for the radius. Yep. The offset? Yeah. Okay. So let's do the offset again. Okay. So the command is O, offset. It asks for the distance. How far offset do you want? 250. Enter. And then I select this and then click inside. That's the side to offset. Offset going inside. Okay. And then enter to end the offset command. You type line So I can project this up. Okay. Actually, I can project this up as well. That's 250 from the other side as well. And then I can type circle from intersection. The radius is 100. Okay. Circle, radius 100. From here, I think I can trim already. Trim. So I can trim this out. Trim is like erasing as well. So I can trim that out. Okay. Trim. Okay. TR. TR. Now we're going to draw the mouth. The mouth has a radius of 300 and 350. The 300 is 500 away. Okay? So, I should not have deleted my line yet. So, let me put that back. And I'm going to offset this, offset by 500. Okay? Offset this by 500 because the first arc is 300 or 500. The center is 500 away. Okay? So now I'm going to draw my circle, space bar to end the offset command. And I'm going to draw a circle from the middle, from midpoint. The radius is 300. Okay? So from 500 away, draw a circle, the radius of which is 300. Offset. So I drew the line again. I drew the line again and then offset that by 500. O space bar 500. And then I'm going to offset that again by how much? 600. Okay. So offset by 600. And then space bar to cancel the command. Circle from the midpoint of that line. The radius is now 350 for the bottom lip. 350. There you go. And then I can now trim the excesses. Now, finally, I really don't need this. So I can erase or trim. Erase is faster. Again, the mouth. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So for the mouth, what I did was I added the line back. So I should have not deleted that, but that's okay. And then offset by 500. So I made an offset of this line down. That's a parallel projection offset. By 500. And then I draw type circle from the middle. The radius is 300. So that's the upper lip. Okay? Good so far? And then I draw an offset of 600. Okay? And then I draw another circle from the midpoint by 350. Again? Yeah? Offset by 600. So I made an offset of 600 from here, 600. And then I'm going to draw a circle. The radius is 350. Yeah, the process of offsetting. Anytime you have a line or a circle, right? And you want a parallel projection, you say offset. O space bar. It now asks us for the offset distance. So let's say you want an offset distance of 100. And now it's going to ask you to select the object to offset. So select this object and then the side to offset, down or up. That's it. Click. Okay? You can do it again. Click. Again and again. Okay? That's offset. Creating a parallel projection. For the circle, you can also do that for circles. It's creating a parallel projection. Any other question? Anything you want me to repeat? Any command? Yep. Yeah. So once you have the 500 offset, yes, then you can start the circle command from the midpoint of that line and then push it up with a radius of 300. And then you make an offset of 600 and then you start the circle command again and the radius is 350. Once you have that, you're now able to trim and clean up your drawing. Okay, while you're working on it, let me call the attendance. Sarah, Muhammad, not Muhammad, Adil, yeah, Adala, Ahmad, Al-Rimawi, Fernando, Nicolas, Emily, Marco, Pablo Gabriel, Malak, not here, Mika, not here, Aryan, not here, Paulina, Annie, Sarlasht, Ganesh, Kiana, not here, David, Abdul Rahman, not here, RT, Giselle, Eraj, not here, Paul, Samuel, not here, Bansari, Nathan, Rovin, not here, Sarai, Saad, Raiden, not here, Garima, not here, Lauren, not here, Devinder, Adriana, Amna, not here, Hauran. Anybody I did not call? Okay. So, the frown, yep.
Well, question about the offset 500. So you said it has a line on the top, right?
Yeah, I added the line back.
So I enter the and offset 500. I select the object. Instead of selecting a line, I select the whole square.
Yeah, because it used to be a rectangle. So that's okay. What you can do is maybe you can delete that top line, trim, and then make a new line.
Long.
Yes, because it's a rectangle. So this is what's happening. If it's a rectangle like this, and you offset by 500, it will offset the entire. Uh, it can't even do that because it's too big, right? But if I offset it by 100, offset 100, yeah, see,
So is there any way that I can choose the round instead of the square if I don't want to draw the whole thing?
you explode the rectangle, explode so that it becomes separate. Yeah, explode so it becomes separate. Yes. Uh, which one? Yeah, so offset by 600. You offset this down, correct? And then you draw the circle from the middle, from the midpoint of that line. That will be the center. And you draw the radius at 350. Not offset. The 600, it doesn't allow you to offset 600. Like I said, I do have the video online. You can also watch that. so you're not waiting for me while others are asking questions. Okay? So you can also watch that video. Okay. Then from here, we're going to make this one arc. Okay? So we're going to make this one arc. How am I going to do that? Well, we go to the bottom and I'm just going to offset this by 100. Okay? So I'm just going to explode, so they are not acting as one line. Explode, and then I'm going to offset that by 200. Okay? That's the size of one circle. That's the size of one circle. Yep. The what? Okay, so once you have the 600, you draw a circle from the midpoint and draw the radius at 350. And then you clean it up using the trim command. Okay, so clean it up using the trim command. Trim, so clean this up using the trim command. Okay, are we good? Now, for the bottom part, all you need to do is draw a circle. Now, this time, draw a circle using 2 points. Using 2 points. See, I cannot go to the center because this is one line, right? I cannot go to the midpoint because this is actually the midpoint of that line. There's an option here to draw circles using 2 points. So I'm going to use that circle using 2 points, and then I'm just going to click this endpoint and that endpoint. Circle using 2 points. Okay? So draw a circle using 2 points. Again, I do not know the center here unless I offset this by 100. I can also do that. But because I offset this by 200, I'm going to draw the circle using 2 points. Okay? So, first point, second point. It actually draws the diameter of the circle. Okay? And then I trim. TR, again, trim is my friend. Okay? So I'm going to trim that. I'm going to trim this. In fact, I can trim that. This time, I'm going to use the copy command. Copy. C-O. Copy. I'm going to copy this arc from endpoint of the arc to endpoint. to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint. There you go. Yep. So what I did was I exploded this rectangle. So explode so that they become separate lines. Okay? Explode command. Okay? Now that they are separated, I can now offset this by 200. EX. Oh, just select anywhere on the rectangle. Anywhere. Okay? So, offset by 200. And once I have that, I can now draw a circle using the 2 points method. 2 points method. Okay? So, circle using 2 points. And then I can trim this. Trim, TR, trim that. Okay? I can even trim this out. I don't need it. Okay? And then I just CO copy. Copy this from endpoint to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint. Okay? And then trim erase or simply erase. Great. Okay? Let's have a 5-minute break. 5-minute break. Washroom break. I'll go around, answer questions, give you time to finish the goals, and then start the pin. Yep. One's fine.
Just the call. I don't know what the phone.
Copy?
Yeah, after we call, after we drag it.
Yeah, so click, select the object you want to copy, enter. It's not asking you for the base point, the other endpoint. Yeah, from there you go, to there, there.
The first enter, I guess.
Yes. Question, good? Good. Good, good. No, trim. Oh, you don't have the crown yet. Yeah, so you need to offset that by 500, 600. So it did accept you. Once you get that means it did do it. Let's say offset, enter, then 500, enter, select that line, and then yeah, there that's the 500. Click anywhere. So that's 500. So from there, you can draw a circle. The radius is 300. 300.
What happens if it's space fire? Sure.
Okay. So your life is actually beyond what he had. So this is only 1,000. So your rectangle I think was really big. Okay. something went wrong. Oh, my uncle stone check it. If you do it at 50, no. So something also went wrong. You're a little up by 9.9141. Okay. So, so this is a rectangle. To draw accurately and align here, we hover over that here, click, and then we said 1,000, tab 1,000. That's how big this is. 1,000 to 1,000. Okay. Next, we do a circle. Circle from the midpoint to that endpoint. So it doesn't go over. Okay? Make sure you are doing it correctly. And then we did this one here, 250. So we made an offset of 250. Offset is by 250. And then we just project the line. So that's 250 away, and this is 250 away as well. So it's an offset. Once we have that, we go the circle 250 by 200 diameter, so the radius is 100. Circle from intersection 100. Okay. And then what were you doing? Why it went so? Oh, the tab, yeah. So again, when you do the rectangle, you just simplify 1,000 and then don't click. You press the tab, so it goes from here to here, 1,000. And then you can also hit the tab again, it goes back to 1.2. Tab again, you can and okay, so start from here, and see that. Question. Offset creates parallel projection. Right. Yeah. So O, right? So let's say you have a line here. Okay. You want a parallel projection, you say O, enter. It asks you, so always communicate. It asks you for the distance. So how far do you want it away? Let's say 400. Yes. From where you're going to offset 400. No. But select this line, and that's 400 away, or 400 down. Up, 400. You click, and it takes them. That's offset. Offset and click, very powerful. You need to master that. Oh, I know I did some. Because when we draw buildings, yeah, you can offset by 100 because from what? Yeah, I'm just going to start off. No, not from circle. Yeah. Yeah. And so 100, enter, select the circle, and then click down. I got one there. So instead of drawing another circle, you can offset it also. Just a second. You good? Yeah. Just a second. Good. You need to redraw the cup though. Okay? When I made the dimension, or I checked the dimension, it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, so radius 200. If that happens, it says VI, check. That's 1,000 It is 200 radius, diameter. But ours is only 200 diameter. So the radius is half of it, right? 100. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. So that's in the middle, right? So that's something we can analyze. This is the midpoint, 43. This is 45 degrees, right? So now you have to compute what's this angle, what is that 45. Yeah, see there 45, and then it increases. Yeah, this one is what 60. So they're the same 60. See 60, 45. Yeah, they will simply do. Okay. Copy CO. Yeah. Select. Yeah. Enter. From endpoint. Endpoint. There. To endpoint. There. After the ghost, there's the pin and then the maple leaf. Okay? Start working on those. Or uh, no, that would be forget. Okay. This would be before the start of class next. Yes, yes. Not slate. From Autodesk. Yeah, if you do not, if you need to download AutoCAD to your laptop or your home computer, you need to search for student version AutoCAD. And then again, you create an account using your shared email address. It will give you access for a free software. Okay, AutoCAD student version. Okay, just Google that. Yeah, so you go to content. Yeah. Or just go to my YouTube and search for Bando last one.
Just one line.
And you'll see the next one.
Just one line of that. That thing.
But I don't have the maple leaf. Maple leaf, I want you to solve yourself. Okay? Yeah. Anything urgent? Okay. Oh. Yeah. Get one of them.
Oh, let's go. That's the yes. My God, bro. Yeah, the angle. What's up?
You circle as well. Yeah, and then you flip, right? So that's a circle. The T with an arc. It doesn't look tangent. Yeah. So I rather draw a circle than this flip. No, this is the center of this circle. Look at that. Yeah. 150, 150 of this. 150. That's the center. We're into the tangent. Yeah. 150. Okay. Where's the this line to the tip. Yeah. Tip to the arrow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
It looks correct.
Is it didn't show any angles last time?
No, so you just connect the from the center to the intersection of the 200. That's it. Which looks correct. Okay. Okay. Any question up to here? Which part you want me to repeat? Anything that you do not understand? You want clarification on? None? Yes? What do you mean? No, you type up the time. Then out. Okay. DI, if you are not sure, and sometimes I'm not sure, did I do it correctly? You check the distance. DI is the shortcut key for distance. And then you check the dimension from endpoint to endpoint. If you did it correctly, it will show you the number 500, 600, 250, DI. Okay? Now, so let's move to the pin. That's the third one in the list, right? So pin. So how are you going to do this? Well, you can start by maybe adding the entire thing, or you start making offset. You make a line. The line will be about 800, right? So 150 plus 500 plus 150, that's about 800, right? 800. So I'm going to draw one line, and I'm going to align it here as well. So I'll start here, and I'm going to draw that line 800. Okay? And then I simply offset. Offset and trim, they're my friend, right? So offset by 200, 500. Okay? So offset by 200 first, and then enter to end the offset command, enter to start again the offset command, and the next value is 500. Okay? So 500. Next, 150. So I'm going to offset that by 150. Enter, enter, 150. Okay? And then 500 again. Enter, enter, 500 again. Okay? And then enter, enter, 150. Why do I hit enter twice? The first one is to cancel the command. The next time is to restart the command. Okay? So that's the first thing I would do. I'm going to offset by the values 200, 500, 150, 500, 150. Okay? Next, I'm going to draw a line. Line from the midpoint of the bottom to the midpoint of the top. So that becomes my middle line reference. Next, at the bottom, it says 60. So I'm going to offset this by half of that, 30, 30. So offset, enter, 30. So I'm going to offset this by 30 here, 30 to the right, 30 to the left, 30 to the right. Okay? And then I can now draw a line connecting the intersection. That's the pin. Okay? That's the tip of the pin. You just connect from intersection to intersection to intersection. That's how I got this one here. Okay? And then this line here will be the bottom of the pin. So no problem there. That's going to be the bottom of the pin. And then it says here 500. Actually, this is symmetrical. So I can actually do half of it and then mirror to the other half. So I can also do that. But this one is 250 away, 500 total. So 250, 250. So I can do that, offset by 250. Offset the middle line, 250 to the right, 250 to the left. Now that I have that, I can now create a circle that is 150 in radius. So circle, this will be my intersection, and that will be my radius, 150. Okay? Then I can trim this, trim that, trim this, trim that, trim this, trim that, trim that, trim this, trim this, trim that away. So that's the bottom part, right? Next, says here, this is only 300 at this level. Then I can connect the lines. So offset by 300. Offset by not 300 but 150 only, right? 150. The middle line offset by 150. This one here offset by 150. Okay? Then I can connect the two. Okay? 1 and 2. Okay? Then I can trim this, trim that, clean it up, clean it up. There you go. So that's this hexagon, trapezoid. Okay? Next, inverted circle or arc. So this is the 150. So this is 600. Sorry, 600. So I'm going to maybe clean this up first. Trim. So I'm going to clean this up. Trim. And then offset that by 300. Offset by 300. Offset by 300. Okay? Giving me the 600. 300 to the right, 300 to the left. And then it also has this 150. So I'm going to offset this by 150 for the center of the circle, right? So 150 inward. Okay? So 150 in, 150 here. Okay? Distance, that's 150. What happened to my 150? Let me do that again. So this one is 600, right? Okay. And then offset by 150. There you go. So that's 150. And then I can now draw my circle. And another one here. Okay. There it is. And then you simply trim. 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 Okay.